Was that dramatic? It was supposed to be. Anyway, welcome to 419 Day on 417. We thought about doing this on Monday, but then it's 420, there's fog machines involved, and we've been busy around here. So what we're gonna do for the next hour is talk about what we've been busy doing. We're gonna talk about Maverick Gen 2. We're gonna talk about hybrid scope rings. We're gonna introduce to you the ultralight scope mount system. And we're gonna talk about all the other things that we've been working on through the year, learning, things that we've invested in, things that we maybe didn't expect to have happen, and what that means for this year to come. Guys, we're grateful for you. Every year, that's something we want to very much express during 419 Day, that we couldn't be here doing what we're doing without you being a part of that process. So, along with that, we've got a sale going. It's on the screen, maybe right here, we have a code. Anyway, that sale's active through Monday. It's 10% off. There's some exclusions to it, and we're gonna talk about why there are exclusions. But let's get to it. Let's get to the studio and kick off 419 Day. Well, welcome to 419 Day here on the 17th. I've got John with me. We've got a lot to talk about, but the first thing I want to get into is, John, it's been a year. Some highlights for you for the last year. What's the last 12 months been like for you?
I mean, honestly, it's been pretty smooth around here, which is nice. I don't know, for the first part of the last 10 years, it's been a lot of drinking from the fire hose, but we got a great crew around here now. We've really upped our capacity game, so honestly, when there's less events going around here, it's better.
Yeah.
That just means everything's working smoothly, so
Yep.
no, we've just been really trying to keep up with demand and keep trying to bring out new products when we can, when capacity allows, and so
you guys know, we were talking before we fired up the stream here, that this is one of the more simplistic 419 days that we've done. This is our Bryce 5th one, I think we figured out yesterday. 22 was the first one that we did a stream like this. This is one of the more simplistic ones. Reason being, we're working our butts off just outside those walls on the machine floor, back that way in the office area. And what we have for you is one of the cooler suites of new products that we've had around 419 Day. But the thing that we're also working the most on isn't just new products. We've always been very aware that when we roll out new products, we never want to do it at the expense of our existing products remaining in stock. So we've got some new things we're going to talk about, but the last year has been amazing for us from a volume, from a sales standpoint, and we really appreciate that. We got a SHOT Show every year. We're obviously as connected as we possibly can be inside the industry, and we know that not everybody can say that. We show up every day and work our tails off to make sure that you are getting the best things that you possibly can, as quickly as you can. American raw material, American made. That's an easy thing to say, but oftentimes a very hard thing to do. So we're committed to it, and again, we thank you guys for that. But you didn't come to hear us talk about what the last year's been like. You came to talk about all of these cool new things in front of me. So let's get into Maverick Gen 2. Hit it, Bryce.
Hey guys, this is John with Area 419.
This is Craig.
I'm excited to introduce you to a product that we've been working on for almost a year now, the Maverick Recoil Suppression System.
Guys, typically we do these videos in about a minute to make them quick. This is going to be a much longer video because we want to talk about why it was made, how it was made, and things like that. But if you've only got a minute, here's what you need to know.
So it was late 2018, early 2019. There was a suppressor company out there, now defunct, that was promising to reduce recoil with a suppressor. What it turned out is the suppressor was just super heavy, but it got the thought in our heads, what could we do with a suppressor to reduce recoil?
The Maverick story is one that is similar to some other Area 419 stories, and it starts with a conversation of what if or how would we. Ultimately, the thought was, well, if we took a regular suppressor and we cut it in half so that air could actually get out of it and feed a muzzle brake, I wonder if it could work. So it was a lot of, well, we think this might work. Let's try it. And John would draw up some baffles, and he'd go out to the lathe for a little while, and then we had this fresh new baffle stack.
One of the serious challenges we faced and faced all the way through Gen 1 production was just how difficult that thing was to make. Because we were working within our means, we were not a laser welding company or anything like that.
There are a couple early matches where, like, Francis and Greg Bell and some guys start winning with them and winning their first matches with them and really growing with them. We knew very quickly that our core ethos of it's got to be better for us to not eat muzzle blast.
I could not deny the fact that I'm shooting next to my buddy Francis. He's not flinching, he's not blinking, he doesn't have a headache at the end of the day. So after about a year of watching him excel, I said, you know what, I'm gonna try this device. And the funny thing was, the first time I tried it was at a club match, and I won the match. Pretty sure Francis was there. The very next match I went to was the Collis 2021 Pro Match, and that was my first pro match win.
If I had to say, hey, to anybody who's watching this and says, why would you consider or buy a Maverick? What would you say is different? I would say the people behind it. And I can only say thank you from the bottom of my heart for developing this, because I truly don't think I would be where I'm at in the sport without this. And thankful because it afforded me the opportunity to earn all of this over the past 5 years.
We knew that we had kind of cracked the nut. There were lots of things about Maverick we didn't know when we made it, honestly. And over that 7 years, we've learned a huge amount. And that's put us in a position to really be somewhere, we think, with Maverick Gen 2. It's been a really long time since going to K&M with a Maverick Gen 1 and letting people shoot my rifle or put it on my rifle and wonder, why would I possibly buy this item that is not as controlling as a brake and not as quiet as a suppressor? This doesn't make any sense. That's an Area 419 story, whether it's the Zero or the funnel kit or the Maverick or so many of the things that we've made. Why would I possibly buy this? And now, 7 years later, not only is it crazy to think about how the business has changed in that time, but also the product and the market. And introducing a second generation of Maverick and all of the things that have gone into it and all of the things that are going to come out of it is a really fun thing. So we're going to kind of work from the inside out. We're going to talk about the core baffle stack, and then we're going to talk about everything else. John, you made a very interesting decision about how we were going to make these.
On the Gen 2.
Yeah, or, more relevantly, how we weren't going to make parts of it.
So we're really good at making the brakes on these. We decided to go to a laser welded baffle stack just to save some weight on the suppressor, better rigidity, give us the Magnum rating, and it just turned into a better suppressor overall. And Gen 2 is or the Maverick part of it with the recoil reduction. So we worked with KG on this, and it's going to be great. They're going to be able to keep up with demand much better than we were able to. Unfortunately, we're just not a suppressor company. We're good at designing stuff, and we just didn't have the capacity ever to go through with such a high volume of making these.
When we look at the Maverick, it's a matter of what does it do from a comfort standpoint, from a control standpoint, and a versatility standpoint. Really, control being first, especially in Generation 1. When we got into Generation 2, Magnum rating was very much something that we wanted to get into. We wanted to be and then we wanted to be able to give a person a more comfortable shooting experience if possible, right? Why not make it quieter if you can? But then leverage everything that we know. Given 1 and given 2, we need to have even more control over the system than we did with the first generation, and that's what we were able to do. So we're going to start talking about the Maverick Gen 2 in the K configuration. This is going to be, as far as length goes, something between the Gen 1 and 5.5 inch and 6.5 inch when you break it. These are available in 6.5 and 30. All of the initial stacks are the same in 30 cal. So if you're buying one for matches, no matter what you pick, this portion is the same between the two. You then have this secondary baffle stack that if you buy a 6.5 or a 30, this portion of it will be different. Along with, there is a, this is one of the retail kits. There is a portion here that you can spin on. So if you want to run it in this length as kind of a K product, you can. You still get that versatility of being able to run it as a short suppressor or as a full long suppressor. And guys, we got a lot of the Gen 1s back for cleaning, and people would send us their entire kit, and this portion would have a ton of rounds on it from their break, and this one would be brand new, clean, shiny in the middle. Obviously this one's been shot. You should shoot them like this. They really sound quite good, and we have sound testing data that's available on the Maverick Gen 2 product page, where you'll be able to see how they test out with a 6.5 Creedmoor or in the 30 cal products and in the L with a 300 PRC. KGM did a really good job with the stacks here. We gave them all of our original geometry from the Maverick Gen 1 and said we need to flow at the output at least as much gas as we currently are, but set it up in a way where you go this way, we get even quieter. And can we output the gas here while reducing sound levels, which we did. So this is the stack. It's welded titanium, 100% titanium welded. The rear is hub compatible. They are all shipping with one of our Hellfire hub mounts. They'll ship with steel ones. Obviously, you can throw titanium or something in there if you want. But that is that stack. You then have, very importantly, let's see, where are we here? The Maverick Gen 2 brake. Now, John, this is, and I have them here in the white because they're a little bit easier for customers to decipher through the stream. How did we get to the Gen 1? I'm going to give both brakes there.
Our thought really on the Gen 1 was mostly controlling muzzle flip, more so than recoil. So on the Gen 1, we've got just vertical ports, I guess I could say vertical. They're not canted backwards, but they're very biased to the top. So we wanted to output more gas going up to push the muzzle down. At the same time, flat ports also reduce recoil, but this worked quite well. And then on the Gen 2, we just decided, well, we've got machines with 5-axis capability now, lathes with 5-axis capability that we didn't have back then. So let's try out some more Hellfire match-shaped geometry here. So I don't remember exactly where we ended up. It's something like maybe 10, 12 degrees backwards. Still very upward biased to control the muzzle flip, but we probably went through 10 or 12 iterations on this. Just pull it off the machine, go out and shoot it, and see what feels the best.
And so you guys know on a brake, when you're trying to figure out how much you want to sweep the ports backwards, there's absolutely a point of diminishing returns. You can't go 70 degrees backwards and they look like shark fins. It's not going to work. But also flat is not as efficient as it can be. So given the distinct way that pressurized gases leave suppressors, we have a very specific sweep angle we like. And then we also started making them in what are effectively flat and non-upward biased. And then we add a couple degrees and add a couple degrees and a couple degrees. And you get to the point of you can go also way too far in that direction. So had we gone to 45-degree upward bias, and it looks like a top fuel dragster in throwing flame upward, that's going to drive your rifle down, and you don't actually want that because you want your vertical stability of the rifle to be dead flat. You want to shoot and track straight back. What we achieved here with the Maverick Gen 2 brake, however, is versus a Gen 1. So whether you put it on a Gen 1 core or on a Gen 2 core, you're going to get about 9% improvement in how much of that linear track it can reduce. So it's about 9% more efficient. That's a pretty significant tick up. Yeah. We're really pleased with that. And if you are a Gen 1 person, you can buy that brake. It'll spin directly onto your Maverick Gen 1. And realistically, your actual rifle performance between a Gen 1 core and a Gen 2 core, if you've, brake to brake, is quite similar. Now, with a Gen 2, obviously it's going to be a little bit softer as far as sound profile goes, as well as, not that there's much to deal with anyway, but theoretically, concussion and blast. Again, it's quite small, but theoretically it's there. It's quieter, it's Magnum rated, so you're getting that versatility, but just going from a Gen 1 brake to a Gen 2 brake, you're going to get about a 9% pickup, which is a bunch. So that worked out really well. So we also have in this lineup the L, and that's this portion here. This is a longer first stack, so you see the size difference between the K and the L. It ends up being, I pulled it up because it's different. It's a Cerakote instead. This one doesn't have a bottom in it, but as you see, it's 2 baffles longer. This is good for if you're going to use just a Maverick for a hunting application, and you really prioritize that extra sound reduction. That's great. But the people that really win with this are those that are shooting it out of larger cartridges, your Magnum. So if you've got a 300 PRC or even a Norma, and Norma's as far as we want you guys to take these, because then you're into things that we don't create bore for, Lapuas, BMGs, Chi-Tac, whatever. Your 300 Norma and 300 PRC guys get a lot of benefit out of this. It modulates that gas a little bit better, allows the brake to work in the way that it's wanted a little bit better. This L is going to be a popular product for you Magnum guys and you wanting that extra sound reduction of the L. So K and L, both available. The entire K kit is $1,500. The entire L kit is $1,650. And some of this price increase between the 1 and 2, realistically, is we chose to continue to use American titanium. And guys, it would have been a cost savings for us to use imported material, but we don't care. We're making less money on this higher price product than we would be on a lower price product with imported materials. And we were assured up and down that they'd be exactly the same, and we said we do not care. The material needs to come from here. So that is Gen 2K, Gen 2L. We're going to have a lot more material on the Mavericks themselves that you guys see next week as we continue to produce and push out content. But along with the new suppressors, the Maverick family is going to change. Again, when we rolled these things out in 2019 and 2020, people were like, this is crazy, why would I ever want this? Since then, there has been a groundswell of people saying, that's actually a really good idea, we should do more of this. You've got, Thunder Beast rolls out their RR, which is a quality system, and Silencer Co. with their Scythe, they actually made a brake like this. And then you've got a company like Recoil X that's making third-party accessories for the suppressors. And we thought, yep, Maverick Gen 2, we've got a new brake. This is a great opportunity for us to grow that family. So what I've got here is a Silencer Co. Scythe STM. This is their modular steel suppressor. There's also the Scythe Tie, which is an excellent can if you're an NRL hunter type guy. But this is an STM, uses the same as a normal Scythe. We now have Maverick Gen 2 suppressor adapters. This one is for the Scythe specifically. We'll also have a Bravo available that fits the Omega a little better. It fits both. For whatever reason, even though the Scythe and the Omega have the same thread pitch in here, the diameter of the suppressors is different, and the way that the bottom of the bottom works in there is different. Anyway, take a Scythe, spin that on, tighten it down. We don't suggest you run your suppressor in this configuration. It's going to make it louder. It's not going to work the way you want it to, but it's not about this. It's about the ability to then take a Maverick Gen 2 brake. You retain all of that self-timing that you come to expect from any of our brake products. Get it 12 o'clock, tighten it down. And this now adds a level of performance to your Scythe or your Thunder Beast RR or your 36M with a Charlie Cumming or your Omega. I've got my list here of what we've either... So we're going to have the Scythe and the RR available immediately. Here's a Thunder Beast RR adapter, if that's something that you want. We have... So Silencer Co. Scythe in stock. Bravo, which will be a crossover that works well with the 300 as well, is in manufacture. The Charlie's in manufacture. The Thunder Beast RR is in stock, ready to ship. We're going to have at least one, if not two, for the Banish products that have removable end caps, AB Reflex, Able Theorem, and guys, that list is going to continue to grow. I expect that by the time we get to the end of the summer, that 7, 8 suppressors that I just listed should be 12 or 15 or 20. You know, we want to push this as far as we can. With the modular system, we can really get aggressive with these in what we manufacture here. Also, this guy, the Maverick Gen 2s, as they exist right now, they're all stainless steel. They weigh in at just over 8 ounces. That's really heavy if you're shooting match and you want to have a counterbalance that's 30 inches away from your receiver. This is a really good way to do it. It's ultra durable. You're putting a gazillion rounds on it. Life's good. Do one for the Boss Top Shot. If they ask us to, we will. We will also make this available, and they're running now in aluminum, and that takes that weight from 8.1 ounces down to about 3.5 ounces. So if you are, again, an arrow hunter, you don't want the side STM because it's heavy. You want the side tie because it's light. That aluminum product is coming to you, and John, the guys on the lathe side of the shop they've been getting a workout with all of these.
Yeah. At least there's no Maverick Gen 1 parts to make anymore because there was a million of them and they took forever. So
For you
should
guys,
be able to stay on top of this.
for you guys that don't know, titanium is a real pain in the butt to deal with.
Yeah, you got to run at about 25% the speed of aluminum or even stainless steel, and it just tears up tools. So, yeah.
And the way that baffles were originally designed, it's difficult reaches into corners. It's like a 97% material
Yeah.
reduction or whatever it is. So it turned into a heck of a project here. And we're glad we did it. We learned a lot. We think the Maverick has been a beneficial product for a very large number of people. It's been successful here. But it was always a little bit of a redheaded stepchild that we'd push in an order of, hey, Marcus, we need
200.
we need hundreds of baffles.
And then that would
And-
take 3 months.
Yeah,
and
'cause he's not showing up to work at 8 a.m. the next day. He's going to put that off a little bit. He wants that set up to be later to not deal with it. So the Maverick Gen 2 includes that. Final Maverick Gen 2 part, and we haven't talked about this one like at all, and it'll likely begin to be available next week or the week after, is this interesting little center section. And I guess I should have brought one. I don't think I'll be able to hand do this. No, they're wrenched. They're wrenches. This is what we are calling, and we're not sure what you guys will think about this, so you need to let us know. This is a Maverick match adapter. This is a little, basically, tube with holes in it that is Bravo on the rear, so hub on the rear, and is the same as a Sive on the front. And it allows us to put a Maverick Gen 2, or Gen 1 if you want, brake on the front of something in a non-NFA manner. So that one's tighter than I'm going to be able to do just in here. So this little guy, it is, again, threaded for hub on the backside. You can see one of our hub mounts in it here. And just like a Scythe or a Bravo would be on the front here. And you can put it together as I had it, put a Maverick brake on the front of it. And for those of you that live in very unfriendly suppressor states, these will all be black, by the way, very unfriendly suppressor states, you're in Illinois, you're in California. I would normally call it California, but I had some people on Reddit get really upset about that. If you're in one of those states that you can't have a suppressor, this is in any configuration you possibly put it into that is remotely within the bounds of the law, it's going to make your rifle louder. So you can set it up this way. It's an expansion chamber for that gas. It allows you to use the big brake. It is softer on the shooter than a traditional muzzle brake. It's obviously not as soft as something like a full Maverick setup, but this Maverick match adapter is something that we'll have more content rolling out to you guys over the next handful of weeks. These will be available at some time in the next handful of weeks. We have no idea if you'll like these or not, if we'll sell very many, if this will become one of those weird products that sometimes we have and sometimes we don't. A lot of that depends on what you guys think of them, but while we were in the process, this idea existed, and we thought we were going to go ahead and go with it and see what happens. We experiment. I think that's everything in Maverick Gen 2. We've got, again, lots of data about recoil testing and sound testing and a bunch of different configurations. They're on the Maverick Gen 2 product page. Maverick Gen 2s are in stock right now. Gen 2 brakes, if you own a Gen 1 Maverick and you just want the brake, those are in stock right now in stainless steel with aluminum coming. If you want a Silencer Co. Scythe or Thunder Beast RR adapter to run a Maverick Gen 1 or Gen 2 brake, whatever you want to run on it, those are in stock and shipping right now. Huge shout out to the team here for allowing us to have some of these products in stock at this time. This has been a heck of a project. Lots of moving parts, lots of people involved with it to make it happen. But we got here, and it's exciting to be here. I haven't seen any specific questions pop up about Maverick items. If you have those questions, can't place order, no shipping options. All right, we'll have that fixed within minutes of being off the stream. Unless you're foreign or you're in a state that we can't ship these to. That might also be the case, so be aware of that. Because I know that people were buying at least Gen 2s before we hopped on the stream because we stocked them. So, let's see. Existing Hellfire Match 5 6.5 brake adapter work on the... Yes, so the universal adapters are still the universal adapters. So in the back of... Yeah, this is Gen 2. In the back of these you have our... Let's see, let me get the Bryce cam here. In the back of these you have our normal... This is a hub adapter just like you would put in the back of anything else. That is a Hellfire adapter fit there. So your Hellfire adapters that you already have they work, everything's good, it'll all fit. Somebody just asked about length, so we will have all of those specs are product page driven. Go there, you'll see lengths, weights. If they're not up there right now, that just means we haven't hit publish on new stuff, trying to leave a little bit of mystery for the stream here. But specs are going up, everything will be available to you soon. Make sure you're checking your email next week. Again, lots of comment to follow this. So that's what we've got here. Next, we are going to get into Rings of Mounts. John, any closing thoughts?
I don't think so. Just want to reiterate thanks for all the support from you guys. Obviously, we can't do it without you, and it's always fun bringing new products to market to see what everybody thinks about them. Is the wrench going to be more durable? Yes. These are cut from stainless steel this time, so we know that was not the greatest wrench design on the Gen 1, but we did what we could at the time. But the new ones are basically laser cut out of stainless, and they use the Silencer Co. Spanner configuration, but you get the Hellfire adapter mount, the Bravo back hex here, and then the open hex, and then our front cap
Has some
for the little 3-prong deal here. So,
and those are thick. That thing's 100 thousandths thick.
yeah,
And they're pretty serious. If you break one of those, let us know.
yeah, we'll replace it.
Yeah. All right. So next thing we're going to talk about is hybrid rings. We got a little video for you, and we're going to swap out John and Justin and get more faces in here.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Here's the deal. Product development at Area 419 is usually pretty formal. You know, Zach and John, they've got their computers, they've got their CAD, they're doing all this engineering. But it doesn't always have to be that way in reality. Sometimes you can get a handful of pretty good ingredients together. So you got like our Hunt scope rings. They're lightweight, they're minimalist. These have done really well for us. Then you take something like the Match scope ring. It's nice to have that separation of a ring. The Match mounting point is nice, but it's a little more robust, but you know, maybe it doesn't do everything you want it to. And then you've got the tactical one-piece mount. It's got the Match or the tactical mount point on top, but maybe the bottom surfaces don't grab onto all of your actions that are split rail, whatever it is. So you got a handful of really good products that do most of the things you want them to do. Well, then you take some time and you take some in-field, what's the worst that can happen situations. And you learn from those. Then you go shoot some matches. PRS matches, NRL Hunter, team matches. You send them out with LE, with mill, all the different ways people are going to use stuff. And then it's obviously got to be buttery smooth. You need a little lube in there. Don't skip that part. And what you really need to do is just take all those items, take all those experiences, a little bit of customer input. We appreciate it. Put them all together and see what happens. All right, so look, there's a reason those guys do it the way they do, but this one really was about combining the best things that we had in our Hunt, Match, and tactical mounts for something that you might really like. It's the hybrid ring set. It's got a hunt ring for the rear. It's lightweight, it's small, it fits on a lot of those split rail actions. And on the front, we've got a match scope ring with one of our tactical caps, meaning you can put a diving board on the front. If you're a long-range hunter, you're a person that's running a lightweight build and you want to put a weapons-mounted laser rangefinder on it or something of that sort, the hybrid setup's going to be the one for you, and you can get it now. All right, guys, I've got with me Justin. He's our VP of operations. Justin's the kind of guy that I walk into his office at least once a day with an idea, and the man's a saint because roughly 6 to 8% of them are worth ever being said out loud again. This was one of them, though, that we got across the line. The hybrid scope rings, and I actually took these straight out of assembly, so you can see how they're still
Strapped together.
They're still strapped together straight off the machine from Final Bore. I had somebody reach out to me that was putting together a contract submission rifle. And they said, hey, I need the lightest thing you can put together, but I've got to be able to put a diving board on it. And I said, great, you're going to take these through a testing battery, right? And he's like, yeah, obviously, of course. I said, cool. So I realized that in only one height could I go grab a hunt ring and a match ring and then be the same height. And I also knew that a tack cap would fit on a match ring. So I went and grabbed a handful of these components that had not been bored yet, took them out to Drew, and I said, hey man, can you board these together so that I get a set that is a hunt ring and a match ring with a tack cap all together? And as he always should, Drew looked at me with a healthy amount of skepticism and said, you serious? I said, yeah, absolutely. And here we go. And we sent them to our friend for their contract submission and said, hey, you can have these, and all I really request is if they work or don't, you let me know. And I don't know, 3-4 weeks later, he called me back and he's like, yeah, these were perfect. And I said, great, new product coming 419 day. So what we have is the hybrid rings. They will be available in a fairly limited array, at least at first. In 30 and 34 millimeter, we're currently producing them, 30 and 34 millimeter tube size, in 24 millimeter height and 39 millimeter height. The reason for those two is this is that 24 millimeter height. And if you are running a traditional action with a lightweight barrel, think a Proof Sendero or something of that nature, or a Bartlein 3B, whatever, most optics that you're putting on that lightweight configuration are going to fit here with a minimal clearance, and that's what you're looking for. If you are somebody that is running a build that is either in a fully enclosed, or you want to be able to put it on something with an NV bridge and you need that 1.54" height so that everything lines up, that is your 39 millimeter height. And I think 3 of those 4 SKUs are actually available right now to purchase. Somebody talks about, with the hunt ring's about being robust and lightweight. This is not heavy on frills. It's got all the key features. It's the raw aluminum bore. You've got your guide pins for pulling straight down. All of the custom stainless hardware. The match ring is excellent. It sells very well for us. But people wanted to be able to do some of the other things, like the match mounting point. You want to put a level there. You want to put a data card there, whatever it might be, as well as obviously very importantly this top mount, to be able to put something like a diving board or a top-mounted dot, whatever it is, 24 millimeter hybrid front. Alpha Echo Whiskey. If you wanted to play Legos like that, you could. We obviously don't recommend it because we're boring these together, but sure, if you want to play that game, you can. We're not going to sell it that way. What we have here, though, is a set that does a lot of things and comes at a nice weight. So a full set of hybrid rings weighs 4.1 ounces, quite light. And these numbers are for the 34-24, so the 34 lows like we got here. We're at 4.1 ounces for the hunt. The hybrid set is 5.6 ounces, which even when adding the diving board attachment point, cuts from the 5.9 ounces that you would be looking at with the match. You add from what you have here to a low diving board just about an ounce, so you are in at under 7 ounces for a for what I have here, which is a 34 millimeter low hybrid set with a low diving board on it. Internal hunter guys or team match, somebody trying to make weight, you're a long range hunter, and you've got a split rail configuration like this. This is one of Impact's new ultralights. It's that split rail. Defiance makes them. All the people making lightweight actions have something like this. With the hunt rail and the hunt ring in the back, you have 2 consecutive lugs, which is pretty important. Tate has 3 slots here, which we appreciate, and I think is a service to shooters, but some people have 2. There is one of the versions of the Anti-X that is made by Defiance that only has a single lug slot across the back. We don't have anything that'll accommodate that, but the significant majority have at least 2 lug slots across the back. Now, that's the hybrid ring. Those are going to be $240, and some of the SKUs are available right now on the website. Justin, what we're going to talk about is what the heck's been going on the machine floor for the past year, because these have become a project.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun. They lit off, I think, a little bit more than we expected. I can say now Q1's done. The first part of the year's done, and we sold as many mounts, or you purchased as many mounts in Q1 of this year, so 2026, as we sold all of in 2024, which is
It's crazy.
it's unbelievable. But then the real stat there is then we've also sold in these 3 months half of what we sold all of last year.
Yeah, so even as this thing has grown, it basically doubled between 24 and 25, and is now doubling again between 25 and 26. And that's awesome, and we're very grateful for that. But that has turned into some challenges outside, and
Certainly.
there are some new investments that have landed.
Yeah, so last year I think we might have spoke a little bit about a DMP, a new 5th Access machine showing up. It's got a robot attached to it, so automation attached to it with a 15 tray system, able to load up all of our match ring bases, and we still do our hunt rings on that machine as well. I think one of the best advances last year was moving the caps from our 5th Access machine, and Craig, a lot of credit to you on that. You were the one really driving that for us too. Moving our caps to our horizontal machine. So now we're running, instead of running single piece at a time, we're making 7 to 8 caps at a time on a single bar of aluminum, the 7075 plate that we bring in for that. So making that transition to a horizontal there, you know, we already at the time had 2 horizontal machines, one with a 5 pallet pool system, and then our 400 millimeter machine has a 21 pallet pool. We doubled up on that. So the end of last year, we added another NHX 4000, so 400 millimeter pallet machine with 21 pallets in there. Just in the pure anticipation that this is going to continue to grow and still be a monster for us on the capacity side of the production floor. So,
and what he's alluding to is a general idea that oftentimes when we come out with a new product, we don't like there to be any major, well, you can't do this thing that you want to do because this is a problem in production, and we don't want to do this on 5-axis because it's more expensive in machine time, or it's more limited, or it's not as efficient as it makes parts. We don't do that here. There's none of that. If there's something that needs to be made a certain way, we'll figure out how to get it made the hard way.
yeah.
So when these parts started being made, this bottom portion here is, and basically always will be, I can't imagine it not being a 5-axis part. But these caps were also 5-axis parts. And figuring out how to transition them without losing any geometry at all, certainly no important geometry. How do we get this into something that's more efficient? Now, more efficient doesn't just mean we can run them harder or cut them faster. It's things like tool changes and the amount of time it takes to change one part from another. So in a 5-axis, we're making one part at a time. And you've got a robot taking either just that part or the vise with the part in it from its staging area, taking it to the machine. That's a process. Again, these robots, you think about them going zzz, zzz, being really fast. It's not always the case. Feed them in and out. And then every time you need to go from one tool to another, that tool has to change. So like, John, on the base of one of these, give me a swag at how many tools are being used just for the base of a hunt ring.
21.
Yeah, so that's 21 tools that are moving here. So anytime that this gets made, a tool change takes a few seconds. Are we looking at 5 seconds, 10 seconds for a tool
Well,
change?
that was the advantage of going to the DMP over the Grobe as well. We cut some time out there because the DMP, while it can only hold 22 tools, 25 tools, compared to our Grobe where it's 100 plus, the tool changes are much more rapid because it's inside the carousel, inside the machine. So that was a plus on the DMP.
But if yeah, it's still a handful of seconds. But if we can take something like this cap and line them up to where instead of that tool having to change 20 times or so per part, and it's 20 times per 8 parts.
Right.
You know, we talk about that reduction, which is speed, which is capacity, and almost the very first thing out of my mouth on this stream was we're not going to release new things until we can feel really good about the items that we currently make remaining in some version of stock.
Yeah.
And 25 was very much dedicated to that. 26 is very much built that way. There's some crazy new fixturing that John and Drew and Nathan and the mill team have figured out to be able to take one-piece mounts through final bore using the same fixturing that we use in the Grobes when we're doing Op 2 and final bore when we're doing the more complex Op 1. What does that mean? It doesn't actually cut machine time per part by a huge amount, but it gets machine time off of something like a 5-axis that's very, very in demand. We're running at 130% demand on those machines, basically, and we can't possibly make enough. So we've got to get some of that demand off of those machines. So a lot of the investment that's happened in the last 12 months has been what we would call, I guess, unsexy around here. It's a duplicate machine, or it's investing in fixturing or something that allows us to go faster. But the hybrid rings are very much we already have something good. Let's see if there's a new way we can put it together in a way that we can manufacture in a way that is efficient and doesn't hurt stock.
Yeah, in that situation, we're already making the existing parts. It's just adding SKUs at that point, which adding 4 SKUs, not that big a deal, but when you compound it over how many is needed by the people, that's added assembly people. We've added to the assembly team. There's more team members down there. It's running smoothly. We've added more fixtures down there to be able to process these. As you know from our previous things, these get made, they get sent to anodize, they come back, they get assembled, then it goes back out on the floor, it gets put into the machines again for the final bore. So it's a different process compared to anything we typically make. Typically it comes off the machine floor, goes to anodizing or coating, and then comes back and it's on the assembly team. So there's a lot of back and forth with these mounts to make them what they are. Not the easiest to make, but we continue to push that to get that. So adding new products, which Craig's probably teeing up here pretty soon here. We feel that we have the capacity to keep adding more products, so that's where the movement's going to be in 2026. The hybrids are obviously new, not necessarily new parts for us, but the way we configure them is new. So
now let's talk about new products that are hard to make. You guys haven't even seen tease about this one. It's the ultralight scope mount. Hit it, Bryce.
When it was time to design a lightweight scope mount, we didn't want to compromise. Rigid and modular, while light and compact, the Area 419 ultralight mount gives you both. The core structure, made with US aerospace grade aluminum and derived from our tactical one-piece scope mount. This creates a mount that combines strength, lightness, and durability. The new ultralight is 15% lighter and 20% smaller than our traditional scope mount, making it perfect for faster, small platform rifles. The ultralight one-piece scope mount by Area 419.
This is one of the coolest scopes available today. It's the Razor AMG from Vortex. It's the little teeny baby 1-10. And having had a great relationship with them for a while, Tucker over there knew that I wanted one of these. When they get one in, he's like, hey, guess what, buddy? Here's the tracking number. Enjoy yourself. I got it. I went and grabbed one of our scope mounts, and our cantilever fit by maybe 15 thousandths front to back in this section. I was like, holy crap. Got to have something that works for this. We've also been very fortunate that over the last year, the number of military and law enforcement RFPs and RFQs and purchases and things like that we've seen with the scope mount system has grown very rapidly. So it made sense for us to move into what is this ultralight scope mount. So some features here that you expect, as well as some that you very much don't. Basically, the difference here is we took our cantilever scope mount that was all built around the match platform, so all of the rings being, that match width, and we shrunk it all into hunt. So this is a hunt width rear cap and front cap. Totally new creation of front cap that allows you to still get a diving board or an RMR or something on the front of it. Lightened up everything we could in the bottom, so you'll see some like skeletonization in the bottom there. We also have on these, for the very first time, captured bottom screws. This was a requirement given to us by someone. These had to be captured for purchase. We figured out how we wanted to do it. All of our ultra mounts very much being targeted at the carbine crowd. All these ultralight mounts have captured screws. So with our traditional rings and mounts, if you back out these screws all the way, they can come out in your hand. I guess that can be, if these are going to be issued to someone, you don't want them losing parts. You don't want them, if they're in a high stress environment, moving something around, you don't want them to get lost. So we've got captured screws on the bottom here. New feature. We were able to achieve a 15% weight reduction versus our other ones, even adding this feature, which adds some size and some additional hardware. We think that this is a product that can be very, very competitive in its space, and it's really cool. I'm very pleased with the way this thing came out. These are probably going to be available during the month of May. These are brand new off machines. They're actually not even anodized. They're Cerakoted so that they looked appropriate for you guys on camera. They retain the internal bore surfaces the way that we like to see them. You get the guided pins like you're used to seeing. That same hardware, custom hardware in stainless. This is even additionally custom, brand new hardware that doesn't exist elsewhere. No, you cannot take your existing mount and swap the bottoms over to this. This is entirely different in the way that it connects back here. You retain some number of, not as many, but some number of the match mounting points for things like, a level or a 45-degree offset or whatever you'd like to add in that manner. These are available. We're first going to run them in 30 and 34 millimeter tube, along with heights in 39 millimeter, and for all of you guys that have been asking for this, 49 millimeter or inch 93 height as well, for the guys that want to shoot exceptionally far heads up on a carbine. Just adding to your parts list.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, it's great that we have the Swiss machines in house that we can play with screws and fasteners like that, to be able to come up with a design that obviously it was required by certain customers. So now we're rolling it out to in this format to the carbine market. Very excited about this. This puts us at over 80 SKUs in our optics mounts, including the task mount that we released last year. So, as John alluded to, the team is not drinking from a fire hose, but it's just, maybe they're just used to drinking from a fire hose at this point.
We're not going to relax. There's no complacency to be had.
We don't slow down around here. So it's exciting to see the team react when a new product comes on, and you ask some requests, and then they come in, and the buzzwords around business now are AI tools and things like that, and you can start looking at, okay, well, where's the growth going to go, and you can really dig into some of your data that you have coming off your machines. We're looking at investments in software for that to gain some more optics and how everything's running around here. But when your own teammates are coming in saying, hey, I shaved a couple seconds off, that's important. So a lot of credit to our programmers on our lay side and our mill side, because you as our customers keep putting the orders in and keep creating that demand, and we're really thankful that we have you guys, and not only that, the team of people that we have here, the assembly team. I had Nancy who runs our original NHX 4000. She's our production queen around here. I mean, the amount of parts that she makes on a weekly basis is unbelievable. She came in this morning. She's like, I got all my rings done for the week. So to be done with those on a Friday morning was exciting for her. So especially on a 419 day, this is this is our day around here where we get to celebrate a little bit. We get to cherish what's happened over the past year. It's exciting for you guys because you get to see new products, but we've been seeing these products for a while now, testing them, working out tweaks on the machines, getting things right. So it's exciting to be able to finally breathe a little bit on today and celebrate. So I'm always red on these forecasts because I've been here early getting tacos ready to go.
Yeah, Justin's got an entire birria taco bar going. We've got
people request that every year. So.
they're amazing. I mean, he's burning off the peppers this morning on the grill, and I was like,
Yeah.
we're in for a treat. And we've got friends that have come up year after year. Tyler and Zim are here and have been here for a while. They bring up desserts and just hang out. This is a day that we talk a lot about U.S. manufacturing, and and it can almost become just a repetitive talking point. But Justin, how many people work here now? Justin's also HR.
We're up to 37 employees now, 38 employees. We've got 2 more people starting here next couple weeks. So we do bring in a few summer help, some family members of employees that their kids are free in the summertime. We're a little bit slower in the summer, so it gives us an opportunity to catch up. Obviously, September through May is a busy time for sales for us. But it's exciting. We rolling into the summertime and feeling good about these new products. Going to get some new things out. Real excited about the MAV2 to go back to that. All the different adapters. Being able to make that brake in house. We've done so well on making brakes over the years. To add another brake to that's exciting. And even cutting aluminum brakes. That's something new for us. So. A lot of it, new exciting things around here while we still maintain our historical parts. I don't think we've taken any product offline since we've...
Maybe like some old auto trickler stuff.
Maybe a Sartorius
Maverick
reloading gear.
Maverick Gen 1.
Yeah.
Zero Gen 1. So
that's
there's been some generation sunset. There's still a couple Maverick Gen 1s available for a steal if somebody wants them. The coupon code from today will work on them. Some housekeeping items before we start to sign off. People are asking about availability of Maverick Gen 2 suppressor adapters and brakes. The only ones that are available today, period, are the Silencer Co. Scythe and the Thunder Beast RR. None of the others will be available in any iteration today. You're looking at a couple weeks on some of those. And the stainless brake, only in black. I saw somebody ask for white stainless. We're not going to do white. They're all going to be black. Very, very Henry Ford. You can have any color you like as long as they're black.
As it's black, yeah.
The stainless are available now, and eventually, I guess we could sell out of these. We have a decent stock, but not an infinite stock. The aluminum ones are starting manufacture. Again, you're looking at a few weeks on those. Make sure you're on our email list. If you go to the website, it'll pop right up. You can get on that email list. You will get updates when all of these new items are available. You can obviously go to those product pages and sign up for those wait lists so that you see them first as well. But all of that is coming. We are introducing it today. They are actively in manufacture. We've always really disliked companies that roll things out and then you can't get them for a year. We're wanting to roll this out with a certain important amount of it in stock and then the rest of it coming very, very quickly. Again, these are just starting manufacture. You're looking at the month of May on these. Somebody asked if these will be available in 20 MOA. I am intrigued as to what your lightweight application like this in 20 MOA, a 1 to 8 with 14.5-inch carbine is not necessarily going to overrun your optics availability early on. Maybe we make these in 20 MOA. I wouldn't expect them super quickly because I think just stocking them in 0 is going to take a little while. We are also getting, yes, the Bravo adapter is out of stock. Only the Scythe and the Thunder Beast RR are available. Not the Bravo, not the Charlie, not the Able, not the Reflex, not any of the other ones. Only those two. People that are asking for additional availability of mounts, what you need to understand is we want to make as many as we can. But for us to make something that fits what you have to be able to take the front off. There are a lot of cans out there that are really good cans that you simply cannot do this to. If you can't do this, we cannot make an adapter for it. So we're sorry for that. That's just how that's going to be. So more availability coming, more things coming from the 37 people and 37 families that are a part of what we're doing here at Area 419. We're grateful for you. We thank you. There is a sale code right there. You can get 10% off anything that's not the new stuff. You know, you can't get hybrid rings that way. You can't get Maverick Gen 2 that way. There are certain other exclusions like zero presses are not on sale this weekend. That's a capacity issue. Yes, 36 millimeters will be made. We will always expand our product line. We've talked about that 100 times over the years. We start with a core, and then we start to expand past that. We understand that there's going to be demand for more things like that 36 mil. You might be talking about the new Zero Compromise Hunter product. It's going to be great. All of those will come. As always, though, we start with our core products, and then we grow them past that. I believe you can actually already go on the website and sign up for the wait list on the hybrid 36s. I believe that you can. If not, I know that I made it. I just might not have activated that product because I didn't want a lot of people to be confused about what's available. We've got new merch that's available on the website. Check it out. Some cool new art. Justin had talked about wanting to bring the rifles back to the merch for a long time. So some of these have them. There's always a certain amount of having to play the game with the technological overlords, but those are available to be had now. They're really nice. Specific sale exclusions. Again, the new stuff, Zero Gen 2 actions are not part of that sale. But most everything else, you can go grab 10% off until the sale closes Monday night, Sarah. Yeah, so through Monday with the code that is on the bottom left of your screen. So guys, thank you. We appreciate you being here with us.
Yes, thank you.
We're in this in just under an hour. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments to this when it reposts. Email us. I can't say our email address because it includes words that get us in trouble with the AI scrapers. But email us, drop them in the comments, go to the website. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.